Hi, everyone. Before I get to the episode, I want to take a moment to address the United States Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe v. Wade on June 24th, which stripped away the right to have a safe and legal abortion. Restricting access to comprehensive reproductive care, including abortion, threatens the health and independence of all people, which we have already seen with abortion bans and restrictions in countries like Poland and Malta. This decision has dire consequences and could have harsh repercussions for other landmark decisions within the United States. I encourage our audience, American and otherwise, to learn more about what you can do to help at podvoices.help. I encourage you to speak up, take care, and spread the word.
Welcome to the Ellevate podcast, conversations with women changing the face of business. And now your host, Maricella Herrera.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Ellevate podcast. I'm Maricella Herrera. I'm here with my colleague, Johanna Pulgarin, a.k.a. JP.
Hi.
How you doing, Jeeps?
I'm good. Feeling good. Excited
good?
to be back. I had so much fun last week. I just had to come back and do more.
Yeah. How was your Labor Day weekend?
Good. So I didn't actually have any crazy plans. So we just kind of hung out at home, trying to pick things up a little bit since we're moving in a couple of months, like a month and a half. So I'm trying to declutter and throw things out, trying to Marie Kondo my life a little bit before we have to pack everything up.
You'll feel so much better though once you do that. Every time I move, I do that, and I don't move often because I like sticking to one place. And you never it's just incredible. How long have you been in your apartment?
4 years.
Yeah, you're gonna be finding lots of stuff you forgot about.
Yeah, I know. I'm not looking forward to it, to be honest. But it's exciting though. I'm excited for it. How was your weekend?
Well, so it was my birthday.
Yes, it was. Happy birthday.
Thank you. I'm inching closer to the big 4-0. Very, very close. It was good. It was good. It was pretty chill. I'm training for the marathon, so honestly, I can't do a lot except run.
Mm-hmm.
So that's continuing. I'm planning on celebrating in the next couple of weeks when I go to See Here Now music festival in Asbury Park, which we've been together too a couple times.
Yeah, we have, but I'm skipping this year, which is sad.
It's so sad that you're skipping. I'm going. Jess, our colleague Jess, who lives in California and LA, is coming, and she's going too. Can't wait. The lineup is pretty great, and the headliners are Green Day and Stevie Nicks. So I cannot wait.
That's the coolest.
Yeah, so that's gonna be my celebrating. I decided Labor Day could be a running, relaxing weekend.
I would never put the words running and relaxing in the same sentence.
You learn to love it, you know?
Yeah, people say that. I don't know if that's true for me.
It is. I hated running. I couldn't run a minute. I would be out of breath. And you know who kept saying this to me was Tina. Tina was our team member, colleague years ago, who moved to San Diego to pursue a very successful now professional MMA career.
Yeah.
And she used to tell me all the time, no one likes running. Everyone hates running until they like running. It grows on you. And she was right.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, it was hard to believe her because she does like to fight people. I don't.
Right.
But I do like running and getting ready for the marathon coming up in a couple months. Exactly 2 months from now. Wow.
Go. It's exciting. You're going to kill it just like you always do.
Yeah. We'll see. Anyway, so what have you been into? Still looking at the home, the home.
Yeah. Yeah, we've narrowed down our furniture, I think, to a few pieces, and we need to just like bite the bullet and order some stuff so that we get it in time. But it's inching closer, and I'm getting nervous, and but it'll all be fine. Still watching Chip and Joanna every
I
chance
love
I can
that.
get. So great.
Don't be
But I've
nervous
also
though.
what's that?
Don't be nervous. It'll be so great
Yeah.
to have your own home.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be different. This is our first home ownership experience, and it won't feel real until we step in, I think. But yeah, it'll be good. And then I can have people over. There's going to be enough room to have more than like 5 people in my living room. It'll be
I
great.
don't know what that feels like.
Hey man, but you live in New York across from the museum.
I do live in New York
Mhm,
across from the museum. Uh, I do love my apartment. I'm not gonna lie, but it is time.
right?
The choices we make.
Exactly.
So do order your furniture. Remember when I moved, I ordered my couch and it took like 4 months to get here.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hearing there's some delays on stuff, so you got to get on that.
Yeah. Have you been, besides Chip and Joanna, watching or reading or anything else?
Yeah, well, the last 2 books I read have it's been like a few weeks ago, but I read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue
Oh, I
recently.
liked it.
I loved that book. It was so fun. It was and like such an easy read and such like a really fun concept
I
too.
liked it too. It was a good book.
Yeah, I saw your Goodreads rating on it, so I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll give it a shot."
Yeah, it's an easy read. I like easy reads. Like before I go to bed, I need something like that.
Yeah. And then after that, I read Book Lovers, which is another easy read.
I
More of
haven't
like
heard about
a,
this. Tell me more.
yeah, it's one of those, enemies to lovers kind of
Mm.
genre. Really funny. You can kind of picture it as like a rom-com in your head as you're reading it, which I won't be surprised if that's the direction it goes in if they end up making a movie out of it. But I've just been looking for stuff like that because there's so much other stuff going on
Yeah.
that I need something that's gonna help me shut my mind off and not have to think too hard.
I'm on the other boat. I've been nerding out as per usual. So I, what was the last one I was reading? So I basically have like 4 or 5 books out that I'm reading all at the same time. One is the one we're reading for book club at Ellevate. It's called Hook Point. We have our marketing book club, and
Mhm.
that's it's been an interesting book on how to catch people's attention in an overcrowded world where we're getting so many messages, so it's been good. I'm also, as I usually do, skimming around on the startup owner's manual just because it's always a good refresher to come back to. So yeah, nerding out. I feel like I'm back going back to school, kind of.
Yeah, I didn't join the book club this time around. I did it for the last book we read, which was Bird by Bird, which I loved, which I had read in college, and it's one of those really great ones to refresh.
So I didn't finish reading that
Oh
one.
no.
I couldn't.
Could it because you couldn't get through it?
Yeah,
Really?
I don't know why.
Oh, that's funny. I enjoyed it.
I feel like I need to give it another try.
But it's more about like it's more of a
Life.
writing, yeah, life writing about life type of thing, so not so much like tactical marketing or like startup tips. So I can see
Right,
how
but
it's not your cup of
no,
tea.
but I love writing. So like you'd think I would be into it a lot because I like writing. I write. I try to write as often as I can. I was telling someone the other day that that's what I, just like you guys, like you and Megan and Raquel wanted to go into publishing. When I was younger, I wanted to be a writer.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Then
who
maybe you do
knows?
need to finish it.
Maybe I do.
Maybe
Maybe I have
we'll
to give it another shot.
yeah.
Content warning for it though. It does have some kind of outdated um, language with regards to people on the autism spectrum.
Oh,
Not like so far that it's offensive, but just kind of infantilizing a bit, and very like, just as a person who is on the autism spectrum, there were a couple things that she said that I'm like, I don't know that this would make it through 25 years from when this book was written.
Yeah, that's fair. That's right. I do remember that.
So many things that don't make it through to today, though. Which, can you believe that the 90s were 30 years
No,
ago?
they weren't. They were 10 years ago. What are you talking about?
Every time I think about it, I'm like, I was listening to My Favorite Murder because that's what I do.
Uh-huh.
And I love it and I will forever love it. And if I can meet Georgia and Karen, I would be the happiest person on earth because I want to be their best friend. So, Georgia and Karen, if you ever listen to the
Really
Ellevate
fun.
podcast, not that I think that you do, but if you ever do, I would love to be your friend.
I can see that being a really easy crossover. Elevate podcast and My Favorite Murder.
I mean, honestly, I would love to have them as guests because the amount of stuff, the reason I love them, not only because I'm basic and I love true crime and they're extremely funny, but they talk so much about mental health
Yeah.
and the importance of taking care of yourself and being so open about it. And I think that it's a refreshing take. And believe wholeheartedly that it is important for us to talk about mental health, that everyone needs to take care of themselves first. And so, yeah, I think I would love, love, love to interview them. Anyway, that's me talking about my dreams. But what I was going to say, why did I bring them up?
Hmm.
The 90s. Yes. They always, when they're talking about murders or things that happened in the 90s, they're like, oh, it's the 90s. And I still feel like it wasn't that long ago.
No. The 90s were 10 years ago. The 80s were 20 years ago. And it's just always going to be that way, no matter what.
And yet, the things have changed, and it's important that they're changing. And actually, our guest today, which is someone this is an interview I did. So you'll listen to me for a lot longer today. Uh, Ngozika O'keke, she is, I would say, a person who embodies a lot of what the changes that have to happen in the world uh, are happening. She was a marketing consultant. She actually was a model first, and then turned marketing consultant, and then turned socially conscious fashion designer. And I think that that's where I'm saying, like, this is where we have to go to. It's not just fashion; it's fashion and philanthropy and social, responsible and ethical fashion. She not only competed in a reality design reality show in 2017, but her company donates a portion of all revenue to organizations that work with survivors of sexual assault and domestic abuse. So this is an episode that touches on a lot of these topics. So I do want to put that out there if you're going to listen to it. But I do think Ngozika's story is really, really powerful, and the work she's doing is amazing. And I can't wait for you to hear her story.
Can't wait to listen.
Hello, I'm very, very, very excited today to be here with Ngozika to talk a little bit about your journey. I know you're a marketing consultant or have a background in that, but you've changed your path to something that's more of a passion. So, why don't we start by going into a little bit about who you are and your story?
Okay, perfect. Well, first off, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to do this. You guys are great. So, I guess the story starts just at a marketing firm in Arkansas. That's where I'm from. And I basically, right after undergrad, I took a little bit of time in between undergrad and grad school to work a bit in my field, which was amazing that I found something right off the bat because that usually like never happens. But I was at a marketing firm and doing multicultural, ad work. It was a really good job. I really thought that was a great career starter, but somewhere in between there, I just kind of decided that I wanted to get serious about the fashion that I was already doing part-time. So I wanted to figure out a way to do that where it wouldn't be, any turbulence to kind of leave one career and start another. And also, you have these little things, called bills that are pretty important. So I wanted to make sure that those stayed paid as well. But I pretty much just made the transition to designing by just doing it part time and getting the brand placed in boutiques just locally. And for a while, that actually worked for me for a few years. And then I tried to kind of slowly transition out of marketing. And that led up to my relocation to LA in 2013. And the rest is kind of history after that.
So, what were you doing before? You said you were kind of dabbling in the fashion industry.
Yeah, so I actually did print modeling when I was really, really young. Like
Ooh.
basic. I know it was really an interesting time. It's like going to junior high school and then leaving school for a photo shoot. Yeah, it was interesting. But I did like a few things in a few magazines, just locally. I think we did a commercial. I think that eventually went national for a split second. So it was I was already kind of in the fashion industry just a bit, but once I grew up and decided to kind of forge my own path, it's funny how it just kind of came back around full circle. So yeah, it was already kind of like I had a toe in the fashion pool, and then once I kind of figured out what I wanted to do, it just kind of came back to me in a sense.
And this is fascinating. And like when you were modeling and younger, especially when you were, in high school or in
Mhm.
school, um, what was that like? Like, what was the culture around it
Um,
for you? And like, did it make any impact on how you saw yourself?
I think at the time, especially growing up in Arkansas as an African, little girl, I'm also very dark skinned. So at the time, it wasn't really, for lack of a better word, cool to look like me,
Mhm.
right? So I feel like print modeling kind of ushered in this new wave of confidence for me as a kid that was still kind of building that healthy self image that everyone should have. So in a way, it did a lot for me. It basically transformed the way I saw myself and like, okay, my beauty, I have unique beauty and you can be beautiful if you don't look like the typical whatever you see on TV or in the magazines right now. So as far as that, it was actually a great confidence builder for me, but also it kind of it allowed me to see how the world worked, right? Because we did a lot of projects at home in Arkansas, but then it was a few times where we flew out to New York and did work as well. And so, of course, my mom, agents, everyone went with me. So it wasn't like I was, left to my own devices or just kind of out. But it was really interesting to learn how just kind of at a very early age at this point between elementary and junior high, how to sort of interact right with adults, how to have the confidence to do that, how to just kind of know just where you belong. And I just kind of realized you belong everywhere you want to be. So that for me was a huge, huge part of just kind of my self image, self confidence, and just kind of gave me the confidence to walk through life in a way that I probably would not have.
I think we have an episode title here. You belong anywhere you want to be.
Yes.
I love that so much.
Yes.
And actually you're surprising me with your answer because when you think about modeling and you see it on, I mean, I'm going from what I see on TV basically, but it sounds like it is a very cutthroat environment and that
Oh, for sure.
your confidence can get hurt. And
Mhm.
here for you, it was a builder,
Oh,
like
for
it
sure.
built you.
Hmm.
And I think that's so great that you were able to put that instead of saying, there's not people who look like me who are in this space. It's like, oh, I am unique. I have a unique beauty, and I deserve to be here. And I wish we could all have
I know.
that confidence
Yeah.
that you have. I'm fascinated.
And that's not to say that it didn't change over the years, that it didn't go up and down
Mhm.
and up and down, such is life, right? But I
Right.
feel like I considering where I started, again, kind of, being in the position that I was in the South at that time, it definitely gave me the confidence I needed to get through the years, like the formative years, if you will, in such a way, again, that I probably would not have, had it not been for that opportunity. So, yeah.
And I'm sure, so you went through this part where you were a person that looked different than what this was the norm, and then became an entrepreneur in an industry that is also, I mean, pretty pale and stale.
Yeah.
So how did that, I bet that that confidence you got of like, I belong wherever I want to be,
hmm
is part of how did that push you forward in starting your own business and like actually going from, I'm doing this thing in marketing, but I'm really passionate about this other thing.
Right.
Let me go, let me take that jump.
You know what? Now that I think about it, I think that it was a mixture between just a little bit of naivete and and a little bit of confidence and a bit of audacity to just believe that I could do this thing, right? That I hadn't seen anyone else do from where I was from at the time. I feel like it was
Mm.
a combination of all those things, and somehow, some way, it just kind of all made sense to me at the time. Like even now, 14 years later, I can't even say that I would have made some of the same decisions as I did then when I was trying to get things started up. But it was just kind of, the right things, the right combination of things at the right time. I'll say it just kind of worked out.
What do you think was the biggest mistake you made?
Ooh, probably trying to start things and do everything myself. It took me
Hmm.
a while to kind of be okay with delegating, with building a team, with being okay with not being there for every single step of the process. So I know now that as long as you know how things work, as long as you know your business, you don't have to be and you cannot be, depending on how large you want to grow your company, right? You can't be there all the time for every single step of every process. You have to be okay with
Right.
kind of letting people do what they're good at, and that's another thing, kind of recognizing your strengths and your weaknesses and being okay with letting someone that's really good at something that you're really bad at or just not so great at take over that. And I think had I learned that, I don't know, 10 years ago, I would have, I think for sure, the business could have been in a completely different position. But, you live and you learn.
It's hard to let go of all the things when you're especially when you're starting something and you're so passionate about it, right?
Absolutely.
And for you, it's not just fashion that you're passionate about it. You wanted to
Yeah.
tie fashion with philanthropy and
Mhm.
with social entrepreneurship. So can you tell me a little bit about how that works in your company?
Yeah, so basically, right now, I just give a portion, whatever that is going to be, to organizations that work with survivors of sexual assault and domestic abuse. Being a survivor myself, very early on in my kind of entrepreneur journey, I suppose, just kind of going through the process that you have to go through in recovery, whether it's, medical, hospital, therapy, anything like that. I just kind of noticed as a person that at the time I would consider myself in a really privileged place at the time because I was at university. So I had
Mhm.
access to a lot of resources that I know a lot of women just don't typically have had this happen to them outside, just in the real world, so to speak. Um, or outside of like the blanket of university protection, I should say. So I noticed just the disparities in the resources available, and I was just thinking like this is not okay. So I
Yeah.
thought for a while like what I could do to actually kind of do something a little more than just like sharing a link or or saying something about something on just on my platform. And
Mhm.
I guess the most effective way I found to do so was to actually give money directly to these organizations that I see them doing the work. I can go and sit down and have a meeting, and they can, even go as far as to pull out the accounting sheets and show you where exactly they need funding. And it's just with the government regulations rolling back, their grants like literally year by year. It's just really, really unfortunate that the services that could be provided had they had adequate funding will not be for so many other survivors. And considering that this is something that happens every 30 seconds, whether it's sexual assault, domestic abuse, whatever, um, it's something that is, in a way, the demand for it is inelastic because it's been happening, and unfortunately it's happening now, and people need help. They need those services. And I don't know where, honestly, the trajectory of my life would have gone had I not had the support of a team of basically people that
Mm.
pulled together to help me after my situation. So, yeah.
Wow. I mean, the fact that you took a situation that was hard for you, that was
Hmm.
complicated, that was, I mean,
For sure.
I can't imagine,
Yeah.
and turned it into how do you support others,
Right.
just says a lot about you. And I just wanted to say that
Yeah.
because you are helping a lot of people.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like it's every little bit helps. My brand, it's not a multi-million dollar conglomerate, but
Every helps. Like
yeah, literally every penny helps, every dollar helps. If it's a couple $1,000s a month, if it's a couple $100s a month, whatever, it's enough to pay for, let's say a therapy session, or if it's enough to pay for an assault kit at a hospital, or if it, just whatever it is, it doesn't matter. I feel like every dollar helps, literally.
and is it right every 30 seconds?
Yeah, it's like gut wrenching how often these things happen. But that's also putting two issues together, right? So sexual assault
Right.
is the one thing, but then the domestic abuse is another. So if you just take into account both instances and just put them together, I want to say it's between like 30 to 45 seconds or something like that. It's it's not even, yeah, it's insane.
Wow, that is so disheartening.
It
But
is.
it is heartening to know that there are people who are doing this the way you're doing it. And I mean, I, how did you decide to do it through your business instead of just saying like, me as Ngozika will donate
Mm,
X amount every year?
yeah. I think it was because I felt like the only thing at the time that kind of made things make sense for me,
Mhm.
after everything just kind of happened and the dust settled, was, sitting on the floor, cutting fabric, making patterns, making dresses. And so it was just kind of like a light bulb, like, oh, well, I still want to do this. So I should find a way to attach a piece to the business so that if my brand really does take off and it does become a household fashion name or, whatever in the future, then this can be one of the first high end fashion houses that has a philanthropic piece attached to it, period. And that just kind of became the vision, that became the goal.
You're doing this philanthropic efforts, but you're also bringing stuff from your background, from Nigeria, from other cultural elements also to the brand that make it richer in a way.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't consider, I know how some like collections or some brands are specifically, they work with Ankara material to pay a
Mm.
direct ode to, our culture as Africans. And I think that's amazing. But I feel like the things that I design kind of run the gamut. So if I feel inspired to make pieces that incorporate that, that's exactly what I do. And then if I don't, then I don't do those. But I kind of keep myself open to the creation process when it comes to that. And one thing that just made so much sense was back in 2020, I had a bunch of Ankara material still here in the studio, and I decided to do face masks out of the material. And it just so happens that they went viral. And I thought that
Ah,
was amazing because not only did I get a chance to, sort of educate people on Ankara material and the time and the skill that it takes, so many people in different countries in Africa to create these materials, but it was also a way of sort of bringing people together at a time when people were so isolated, right? So I
right.
just think that it was a really good, again, I feel like it just kind of fell into place and it made sense. I go with that a lot, whatever makes sense.
I like that though. That's a good way to go with things.
Yeah, right?
And the masks are they're beautiful. I was looking them
Thank
on your
you.
site. And also I have to say I want to get everything on the comfy collection.
Yeah,
That jumpsuit looks like I would wear it and never want to take it off.
I love it. And that's so funny because that's like the number one selling piece from that collection. And that's exactly the emotion I wanted to invoke with it.
Yeah, I was checking and I'm like, what colors are in my size? And it seems like they're sold out. So,
So we're gonna do a restock soon, just to throw that out there.
right.
But yes.
They're really, really, really beautiful.
Thank you.
Um, and I'm a true believer that brands that stand for something that come back to their consumers, trying to give something to their community, trying to do something for the world,
Yes.
are brands
Mhm.
worth that brands worth supporting. And I think that that's very, very clear in what you're doing.
Yes.
How have these last few years really or months, how has it been for you as an entrepreneur navigating, pandemic, then inflation, then we're in the middle of, waiting for a recession.
Yeah.
um it's not an easy time. So how have you navigated it?
So I think mine started probably, like I mentioned, during quarantine. I just started
Mm,
off, because everyone was basically just at home. So I started off making face masks and donating them to nursing homes initially. And then once they started, with the shortage, then we started getting filters and then I started making them then. And then I said, okay, if I can sell one, then I can donate one, that kind of thing. So did it. It went viral, I think, like on Twitter. I don't even really use Twitter that often, so I had no clue where it was coming from at first. But um, that just kind of turned into just a whirlwind. And again, it was right on time because at the time there were so many seamstresses that were out of work because all of the
yeah.
production houses in LA, in the fashion district had shut down. No one could work. Everyone was home. So basically, we just created a chain of people to sew at home. And I think at the height of the production, I was full time employing, I think, 21 people. And I just could not believe it because for me, that was huge, right?
It
Um,
is for someone for starting a business. I
oh,
mean, at Ellevate we're less on that.
yeah. So it was just like, oh my gosh. And, and that was amazing. We were able to make sure that everyone had, income, obviously, to pay bills and stuff. And, just make sure things didn't get too crazy, which I know that was a time where things were just not great for a lot of people. Um, but it just kind of the chips just fell into place. It was another one of those times where it just happened and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is so crazy." Um, but that kind of sustained us throughout 2020 and then 2021, and I feel like now the kind of recession is hitting the independent designers and independent artists here in the fashion community in LA. Now it's kind of hitting us. So now it's like, okay, what do we do? So now it's kind of a regrouping and we're trying to figure it out. Everyone is pulling together whatever resources and or going back to contract work. So there's a lot of things that you can do on set. So, I'm a designer that actually sews, right? So I do a lot for music video productions and a lot of tailoring. So it's a little bit of, you have to get creative once things slow down a bit, but the work is still pretty much the same. And I feel like you can always feed yourself as long as you have a tangible skill. So we'll see what happens. We're just all trying to ride it out.
what kind of support system or support network are you leaning on right now? Like you talk about the artists in LA, it seems like
Yeah.
it's kind of a community
Hmm.
of people trying to navigate this time.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, that's one thing I could say about LA, specifically in the art districts, the artist district, the fashion district. It's so many creative people here. And LA is huge, but LA is also very small as far as the industry is concerned. So you just kind of get to know, when you're a fashion designer, you meet other designers, you meet the stylists, you meet the entertainers, you meet the people that are behind the scenes for like your favorite TV productions. So it's all sort of a community. There are Facebook groups, there are text threads, email threads, and everyone pulling together resources to say, like, oh, yeah, well, I know this production needs a new wardrobe person for the next 6 months. So it's like they'll send that out. Or I know so and so is looking for, I don't know, a new wardrobe for their European tour right now. So, here's their info, contact them. So it's like the resources are vast. You just have to get plugged into a community, plugged into a network. And I think it's very, very helpful if you could do that for sure.
Yeah, I 100% believe in, I mean, clearly I work at Ellevate, but I do believe in surrounding yourself with people that can help
Yes.
and also giving back, right?
Hmm.
To helping as well and building that community. And we never do anything alone. That's the
Hmm.
reality.
Absolutely.
So what else was like? Oh, so I did want to mention this. I did want to ask you about this because I was a huge Project Runway fan and a fan of all of these design shows. And
Uh-huh.
I know you were in one.
Yes.
Tell me about that experience, please, because I am so curious of how that goes.
Yeah. So Project Runway, so that's like the reality show design competition. So
Mhm.
I don't know if they do it on every single season, but I know there's been a few seasons where they have like an unconventional materials challenge where the
Yes.
designers, yeah, they'll have to like make something out of something that's not normal fabric or something. So basically the show that I did is called Design Genius, and it's produced, filmed, everything in the Philippines. And they basically, the entire competition is the non-traditional fabrics.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So it was really, really interesting. Yeah, we did season 3 of the show, and that season was designers that were all based in Los Angeles. So it was really, really nice because the first 2 seasons they did, it was designers from all over the world. And I think they started with between 8 and 10 designers for each season. And then, of course, throughout the weeks, they narrow it down to the winner. And it was a really, definitely a life-changing experience. I would say probably one of the most significant experiences in my 15-year design career now, because not only did we get a chance to participate on a competitive reality show that was basically just based on what we brought to the table as far as skill, but we got a chance to meet other designers from other areas of design that I feel like in fashion in LA, you kind of typically only meet the people that are in your particular sector. But during that show, I met cosplayers that were fashion designers and they only made costumes, or I met wedding dress designers that only did wedding dresses. I met ready to wear. I met menswear. So it was really interesting. Nerve wracking, yes, because you're having to, sew these things in 3 or 4 hours, on the clock, on the camera, and it's not even normal material. So there was a lot of sweating, a lot of running around, a lot of seams flying. It was very, very interesting. A really good experience though. I enjoyed every second of it.
What was the weirdest thing you used?
Ooh, probably Easter basket grass. You know that stuff that's in the Easter baskets?
Oh my god, what did you do with that?
I I think that was the partner challenge too. So we made like a prom dress or something. If I can find the pictures, I'll definitely send it over. I don't
Man,
think it
please do,
ever.
and we'll post them.
Yes, yes, I will. And that's so funny because now I'm thinking like, where are those photos? I don't think it aired in the States, but it aired in different countries in Asia and Europe. So it's an international show. It's really interesting to get emails every now and then when it starts airing again from people all over the world. And they're just like, oh my gosh, I saw you on Design Genius. I love your work, blah, blah, blah. Like, I love it. You should come here and do a tour. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't know. But it's to know that it's out there and that people, are are inspired by creatives that they see, take a chance. And then we all, I think, had our own platforms on issues on what we were really passionate about. So also just bringing awareness to those issues that we feel most passionate. I think that was just one more platform to bring awareness to stuff. Yeah.
That's amazing. And, I feel like a theme here with you
Hmm.
uh, of it- being an example and an inspiration to others, right?
Yeah.
Like you weren't, again, in the modeling space, then in
Mhm.
building your business, then in giving back, and also, putting yourself out there that people could see, I could do this. I never thought about this. And this is something that seems like would be great. You inspired me to do that. And
Yeah.
I can say that's really, really, really amazing.
Yay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I just kind of doing my thing, trying to figure it out.
And that's the best way. Doing your
Exactly.
thing, and then it's the impact that that thing has.
Absolutely.
So we always end our sessions or our recordings with a lightning round.
Ooh,
So I'm going to ask you questions back to back, and you have to answer in a sentence or less.
okay. Okay.
Okay? Okay, cool. They're easy. Don't worry.
Okay.
Introvert or extrovert?
Introvert.
Really?
I,
I
you
would
know,
have
it
sworn you
sounds
would have said extrovert.
crazy because I feel like I am definitely a social butterfly when I need to be, but it's crazy because then I have to come home and be here for, 5 days to kind of recharge. So
I'm the same way.
I don't
I'm
know.
the same.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Same here. Uh, dream dinner guest?
Ooh, Oprah.
Yeah, that would make she would make a great dinner guest.
Yes.
What is your top self-care practice?
Ooh, sleep.
Sleep?
Yeah, sleep.
Getting your 8 hours?
Yeah, I rarely do, but I think that's become a biggie though, trying to at least get it. Yeah.
Okay. And finally, what's one question or thought you'd want to leave with our listeners?
Ooh, one thought. I would say do the thing or the things that feel good to you, like in the pit of your stomach. A lot of
Oh,
times we do things that we think we're supposed to do, or we do things because we see other people doing them and we assume we should do them as well, or we do things because we've been doing it for so long and we think we can't do anything else. But do the things that do the thing that feels good to you in the pit of your stomach. You know, you know what that is. So do that.
oh my God, that is
Yeah.
great advice, actually. Thank you so much. This has been a lot
Absolutely.
of fun.
Yes, it has.
So, JP, what did you think?
That was incredible. I want to be her friend.
I do too. We had so much fun taping that
Yeah,
interview,
you could
and
tell. You did great, by the way.
oh, thank you. I really enjoy doing the podcast interviews. I'm not gonna lie; I get to meet such incredible people, and they're all so fun. And I really enjoy how with Ngozika how the conversation just flowed. So hope
Hmm.
you guys enjoyed it too.
Yeah, it was great. And I loved that, it's a hard topic and hard things to talk about, but it's all done, with respect and awareness. And it's important to hear.
Yeah. So if you want to come and join us for a roundtable or two this week, entrepreneurs are meeting on Thursdays at 4 p.m. and they are going to be networking in an open networking hour, I guess, an open forum. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you're looking to start your business, if you're even just considering starting and going on your own, I would highly suggest you come and meet the amazing entrepreneurs of Ellevate, who I'm sure will inspire you and have your back and give you all the advice that you need. What's going on with the Rising Leaders, JP?
Yeah, so the Rising Leaders roundtables meet every Thursday at noon. I'll be there every week. And this week on the 8th, I'm really excited for. It's about finding your zone of genius. So if you're someone who feels stuck about your next move, you know that there's something else out there and you want to get there but don't know how, this will be a great topic for you. And I'm really excited for it because our host or our guest speaker is Sofia Pertus, who is actually going to be our regular host for the holding space for Latina and Hispanic women at Ellevate. So that is launching on September 20th, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to be at those as well. So this week you can meet Sophia before those get started. I hope to see you all there. And then after that, on September 15th, the Roundtable for Rising Leaders is hosted by Kelly Nolan about setting boundaries at work to protect your time and your sanity, which I'm sure so many of us can relate to, because it's so easy to get focused on your job and you're doing hard work and you want to do the best you can, and it's hard to break out of it sometimes, but necessary. So if that sounds like you, I hope to see you there.
Yeah, I want to join both of these. Sophia is amazing. I met her at some of our executive roundtables. She's really, really, really great. We were in a breakout room together, and I was so excited. I'm like, "Oh my God, you're gonna be hosting our holding space for Latinx community," and I will also be in those, JP. I'm very excited to meet more of the community.
Yeah, me too.
And to celebrate our history makers this week, Nonkululeko Nyembezi is the first Black woman named as chairman for Standard Bank, Africa's biggest lender.
Jenna Carson became the first female military chaplain endorsed by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Maritza Chan Valverde became Costa Rica's first woman ambassador to the United Nations.
Jackie Rice Gold launched Goat Fuel, the first Black-owned energy drink.
Shannon Bream will become the first woman anchor of Fox News Sunday.
And Captain Elizabeth Somerville became the Navy's first woman to command Naval Test Wing Atlantic.
Congratulations to all of our history makers. And if you have anything you want to celebrate with us, let us know. Send us an email, hit us up on social media. We're happy to celebrate with you. And next week, we are back to one of Chrissy's interviews. She is going to be talking to Poppy McDonald. Poppy McDonald is the president of USA Facts. She previously served as president and chief operating officer of Politico USA, publisher of the National Journal, and partner at Gallup Inc. So join us next week for a conversation with Poppy.
Can't wait to hear that one. That's going to be really interesting.
I think so too. See you next week.
Thanks so much for listening to Ellevate. If you like what you hear, help a girl out. Subscribe to the Ellevate podcast on iTunes. Give us 5 stars and share your review. Also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at EllevateNTWK, that's Ellevate Network. And become a member. You can learn all about membership and all the great things that Ellevate Network is doing at our website, www.ellevatenetwork.com. That's ELLEVATE network.com. And special thanks to our producer, Catherine Heller. She rocks. And to our voiceover artist, Rachel Griesinger. Thanks so much, and join us next week.